Welcome in, guys, to episode 21 of Coffee and Chel. I am your host, No Sleeves, joined by my good friend Kesso, as we are every single week. And just like we do in every episode, you guys seem to enjoy it, which is good because that means we don't have to talk about HUD as much as we normally do. Let's
Thank
discuss
God, right?
the big and interesting life of Kesso and what you've been up to, my man.
Dude, I haven't been doing anything, man. It was a relaxing weekend. My wife and I went out to dinner Friday night. I think it was Friday night. Watched some Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on the couch downstairs. It's a great show on Amazon Prime. I love the show. I don't know if anybody listens or anybody watches it. And then Sunday, so we're recording Monday night. Usually we record on Sundays. I went over to my grandparents' house. Their attic still has just like a bunch of shit in it. So I had to go up there. It's one of those ones where you like pull the staircase down and you got to like climb up. So taking boxes down from the attic and this one box, I tweeted this one picture. It was like a bunch of stuff I had from like first through third grade, schoolwork, but then there's like doodles and stuff. And like, I just apparently those 3 years, I only drew like Pokemon and hockey players. And like the one, it was kind of funny. It was this picture. I went to a Catholic school and it was a picture of Jesus and it says like Happy Easter. And you had to like write a name of somebody you wanted to say Happy Easter to. And I put Mario Lemieux and I knew how to spell his name, hats off to me. But, it was just like, yeah, it was fun. I grabbed a beer, went through like every page in there, looking through like old stuff, and it was kind of fun, very laid back, Sunday night doing that.
Bro, prehistoric HUD cards.
Yeah,
Dude, wait, is that our first Kesso NFT?
that might be, dude. Let's go.
You gotta mint that, bro.
Dude, we gotta mint that. Are there any wills in the community to buy this off of me for like 10 grand, and I could just
It
make some money
appreciates
that way?
immediately. Sells for
Exactly,
50.
dude. And then I saw that there was people getting fished on one of the big NFT websites, that
Saw
OpenSea. Did
that.
you see that?
Yeah.
People lost like millions in NFTs.
Dude, I'm sure there's a lot of crypto I can understand, especially with what's going on in Canada. NFTs, I feel like we are. You know how like Sega Dreamcast came out, like when you were a kid,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you probably knew maybe one person that had it
Uh-huh.
because it was way too ahead of its time, and developers literally couldn't make things that weren't $400 for it because it was.
Yeah.
Dude, do you realize there was like an online card game that you could play in like 1999 on that thing?
Dude, it was the first console to have online.
Yeah,
I think it had its own like interface too.
Oh
For it.
yeah, and it was just so ahead of its time that consumers weren't ready. I feel like that's what NFTs are. Like
Yeah.
we're just like 8 or 9 years like way too early. And I'm sure that like there's people in here that are people that listen that are like big in NFTs, and that's cool. And some point it'll work, but anytime I see like a thing of like the metaverse, that just looks like a really, really bad video game. So I don't understand it yet. But hey, that's just me. Maybe it's because I'm old. Like I don't
I
know.
see that stuff and I see like really bad drawings. Like I
Yeah.
get the tech behind it's probably great,
Yeah.
but it's just like a picture of like a dog with like a whistle or something, And
Like
it's
what do you
like,
do
oh, well,
with
this
that?
one, you show other people that buy NFTs, I guess. I
Yeah, like
have
you go
no
to a
idea.
party of people that just have a lot of NFTs and they're like, look at this thing. They're like, ooh, like, wow, impressive
Yeah, I
wallets.
don't think those people are going to any parties, but yeah.
Yeah. We
I
just
mean,
like
those people are
insulted a
also,
bunch of people that
they
probably
probably
are
are
big.
way richer than I am.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if they can afford this stuff, they gotta be.
Yeah, 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 dude. So I was thinking
Yeah,
before we are getting into like the hut stuff,
yeah.
I was stressed out yesterday after playing Hut Champs. And dude, and you saw why. I mean, you watched some of it. Sometimes it's just like you play too much.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do, Sleeves? If you need to decompress, get away from Twitter, get away from all that stuff, you're just frustrated. How do you relax at night? How do you make yourself feel better?
Well, like therapy.
Besides that,
No,
is there any like specific like hobby you have, like a random thing?
I'll be honest with you. I'll pull back the curtain here, I guess, for all my viewers. I actually struggled a lot with this, like in like November, December, where like I legit went to a therapist because like I wasn't sad, like I wasn't down and depressed or anything, but like it just like I couldn't I wasn't enjoying anything, which sounds weird because I play video games for a living. So I went to a therapist and I explained to her what I did, and she's a little old, like she was older, so I figured it was going to be tough to explain what I do, but she was pretty understanding of it, and she was like, "What do you do for fun?" And I like looked at her and kind of laughed. I'm like, well, I play video games. And she's like, well, what do you mean? And I was like I like, literally all I do is play video games now. And she's like, yeah, it's work. And then I'm like, well, yeah, but like I'm just playing video games. She's like, yeah, what do you do for fun? And I'm like, wow. Like, dude, like I sat there and like stared at her for like 6 minutes. I was like, I don't know. And I think this comes as like streamers, like people that aren't streamers might like, because even you've grown enough where this is like a very small business, right? But it
Yeah,
is essentially
yeah.
still a business for you. Like when you're recording stuff in the back of your mind, you're like, this could be a YouTube video, right?
Oh yeah,
Let
that's
me ask
happened
you
so
this.
much. Yeah.
How much NHL do you play off stream?
Um,
That
I
isn't you in
probably
the lab.
that isn't me in the lab, not that much. And sometimes that consists of like if my wife wants to play like The Sims. She loves The Sims. So if she's on my desktop or whatever, I'll play like a few Rivals games and then I'll play a couple games here and there. I think we did the calculation or something the other day. And like I stream for 8 hours. I play those 8 hours a week, the champs games, and then probably like a few offline. So
Okay.
probably like 11 to 12.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well,
And that's a lot, I think, don't you?
like 11, 12 games off stream?
Oh, 11 to 12 hours a week.
Oh,
Sorry.
no, no, no. I'm saying like how much do you play NHL off stream? Like, do you think? Like an
Oh, just
hour?
off stream. Yeah,
Yeah.
few hours a week, I would
Okay.
say.
Well, that's still impressive. I have zero. So like I,
Okay.
you know what I mean? So like, which leads to me not playing a lot of NHL. If you watch my streams, like I
Yeah.
stream 3 hours a day and I maybe play 4 games. But yeah, I think that as a streamer, like when you create a hobby and turn it into a business, that's like the hard part. So I was really
Yeah.
struggling with that because I was literally ending my stream, going upstairs, I'd eat dinner, and then I'd be like, all right, I gotta record a YouTube video for the content that came out. And then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna clip a couple pack openings, turn them into TikToks, and then I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to bed and starting it all over again. I just wasn't having any fun. So like, I think that's a big focus. Like, I mean, what I try and do now is, man, I just like lie on the couch. Like it's nothing. You know what I mean? It sucks
Yeah.
because I need to find a new hobby. Like that's what it ultimately comes down to is when you turn video games into work, that is essentially work. So you need to find a new hobby. And I think that's like a big struggle. Like, what do you do?
Watch TV shows with the wife,
That's
right?
yeah.
That's always a good one. Sometimes I just take like 5 minutes and like sit down with the dog or the pig, and I'm just like, that's my decompression right there. Today it was actually nice outside for the first time forever. We took the dog for a walk, and then I enjoy playing Stardew Valley with my wife too. Like we have this farm on Stardew Valley. We were like 3 or 4 years into the game, and it's just the most like easiest going thing ever.
I was waiting. I was so disappointed because me and my wife, we don't really have anything that we do together, like a video game or anything like that. Like
Mhm.
we have summer and we hang out and we watch like the same stuff, right? But we don't have a ton in common, which might sound weird for people that are married, but like, man, honestly, people that don't have a lot in common, I think are sometimes can help. But anyways, I was waiting for the new Harry Potter game to come out, the new RPG. Like,
Oh yeah, that looks cool.
dude, she is obsessed with Harry Potter. Like, she has tattoos. She falls asleep watching one of the movies every night. Like, she just
Yeah.
went to Harry Potter World with her mom. Like, her office, she has 4 giant flags, like the house flags. And I was like, okay, this will be sweet. And then it kept getting pushed back. So I'm excited for that because that I think will be like a game that I won't stream. Maybe I don't know. Like
No, dude, because then if you stream it, you're like, listen, chat, this is the best way to unlock all the spells in the game.
yeah,
And
you
you're
don't
gonna
want to
do
be a
one of those
6. Yeah,
videos.
anything under 5'11" wizardry is absolutely a waste of time. If you're not
Yes.
6'2" with a flying horse, you're not like it's just not gonna work, guys. No.
Look at this guy. He got the Nimbus 3000. How much money did he spend day one? Oh my god. Yeah.
The
we can't,
Nimbus.
but that's the problem, and we've talked about it before. We don't play video games anymore for pure enjoyment. Like, luckily, I have a couple I play with Marina where I play for like just enjoyment, but I don't play games by myself ever where it's like, this is fun. It's always like,
Halo.
oh, what can I do with this?
I talked about this a lot on stream, but like the addiction in games. I think I mentioned it on here too, and just like how like we just have an addiction because it's like if you. I think it's because of all of the ability to compare yourself to people with the internet that when you're looking at a game, you immediately like so people that like want to get better at Hut, they Google like how to get better at Hut. Maybe they see my or your videos, and like we have an influence on that, and that's what. But the thought process that starts is because gaming is so competitive now that like why is it immediately like how do you get the best team and not just like hey I just want to play the game to have fun, right? And you know like that makes it awfully tough. And I started playing Halo, like when Halo Infinite when it came out at the beginning of December, and I was playing like every night. And again, this is after like, the person I went and talked to was like, you need to find something fun, no work. Because even when I was playing Halo in the beginning, I was literally streaming it or I was recording it in case some crazy clip happened. She's like, no recording, just enjoy it like it's your time. And I would play with Cookie, Top Shelf Cookie, Nasher, and some other guys in the community every single night, and it was actually a blast. And then we got to like high diamond tier, and it's like Onyx is right there, and then I'm looking and I'm like, man, how do I get into Onyx? Like, what? And then I ordered I ordered an Xbox Series 2 Elite controller. Like, it was just like, and then it became frustrating if I lost, and the fun slowly died away. And it's like, I don't
Yeah.
know. So yesterday, this weekend, something's going on with me. I do not feel well at all. Like, I'm tired all the time. As we speak, I'm exhausted. I get a lot of sleep. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to the gym, and maybe that's leading to it. I'm eating like crap because I just don't care, and I'm exhausted at all times of the day. Even when I went to Florida, when I was doing the event, I had a lot of adrenaline right before the event started, which I think you should. Anyone that is in the middle of production of a big broadcast, and I was nervous, but I was tired. So it was like something's not right. And so I literally didn't leave bed. Like I streamed for 2 hours and I just stayed in bed the whole day, the whole weekend essentially. But I was laying there. I'm like, I just want to play like an offline game. And then I was like
Yeah.
thinking, I'm like, I can't just start a game and not be able to pour 40 hours into it. I looked at like Horizon, like the new Horizon, because I beaten Zero Dawn, but I don't remember the story at all. It was a while ago. And the new Horizon came out, and it looks truly like a next gen game. It looks incredible. And I'm like, man, but if I don't have 80 hours to like do everything, what's the point? And then I just binge watched like a season of like Ozark. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just like, and I
Yeah.
essentially accomplished nothing because I don't remember any of it. So like, I don't know, man. It's tough. It's not the same anymore. Cause I remember, yeah, like beating a game, like, it's like 20 hours and it'd be fun. It's like an offline game. Like Dying Light looks fun. I remember the first
Mm.
Dying Light. It looks fun, but like, yeah, it's just I don't know what it is. It's not the same anymore. Everything has to have a purpose, and that's exhausting. You know?
Yeah, we've trained ourselves with that too. And then
Yeah,
I feel like too at this point in my life, there's not enough time for like
that's it.
everything I want to do.
And I'm
So
sure
it's
there
like,
is if you
yeah, but
boil
if
it
it's like I'm
down.
gonna have the free time, I want to put my free time to advancing. If it's this thing or whatever else, it's like there's just not enough time in the day,
I just got a
being an
terrifying
adult.
text message. My wife took a picture of my dog at the bottom of my landing. She's scared of the stairs, so that's not good
Okay.
because that means we don't have a gate there because she doesn't. She's terrified of the 3 steps that go down to our back door. And
Yeah.
she took a little wander downstairs, which means she's got the stones to go downstairs, which
Uh-oh.
means
Do you need to go?
no, no, no.
Is this one of those? Okay, I'm
No,
making
because
sure.
she's way too scared to go down the next 8 to go into the basement.
Oh my
But it just
gosh.
means that
What a baby.
she's getting the. But now I'm gonna find her like on my new couch or something soon, so I'm gonna have to get a new gate, I think. Oh, anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, the dog is fun. We took the dog for a walk today, dude. Like snowstorm, and then it's like 15 degrees outside, which is like,
Right now it is?
yeah, like it's hot outside in
Oh,
Niagara.
dude, it was 60 degrees here.
I think 60
And
is
that's,
like
do you
around here.
guys, yeah, do you guys have Fahrenheit? Is that
No, you're
Fahrenheit
the
or is
only. I
it
think you're the
Celsius?
only country that does that, just to be
America
complicating.
number one, baby.
Yeah,
We got the inches, we got whatever,
yeah, dude. Like
because
it,
we run the world.
absolutely. Um.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, guys. Let us know topics of like random stuff you want to know. The wind down thing, I think like that was cool. I would like to know more of that. I'd love to talk more about that stuff. We
Yeah.
booked a trip, so I don't like traveling all that much. For like, I get anxiety because I can't work, which is just like an
Yeah.
entrepreneurial thing. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like as I should just want to like relax because all I do is play video games. Like, why do I need to relax? I have a hard time being like, I can't stream or upload videos for a week, even though I can because Tyler, like my editor, would just upload videos, which is completely fine and it's like a healthy thing to do. So my wife, I got a bonus, so like that I wasn't expecting. So like I have no reason to say no now. So we're going to Punta Cana next month, which is like cool, but she's all excited. There's like 15 rand, dude. What's wild is like you book the expensive trip, okay, but then it's like the expensive stuff that like they buy for like no reason that makes it even more expensive. I had like 6 Amazon packages I showed to my house, and it's like luggage dividers and like weird like.
What? Who
And I'm
even
just,
buys luggage
dude, my
dividers?
wife, dude, I was like, what is that? She pulled out like a Yeti, and I'm like, she's like, so you can drink on the beach, and I'm like, dude, that was like $30. I'm like, what? Like, you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
dude,
Like,
they waste the money,
it's
man. I'm gonna whisper
absurd.
this because my wife's in like the next. We get 3 boxes a day.
It's
It's from
wild.
Target. It's two from Amazon. Sometimes it's like a Bath and Body Works like candle box. and I can't keep track because every single time I open my front door, there's 3 boxes
Yeah, I
like on
don't
the
look.
ground.
I never really order stuff, and if I do, it's like big, like from my office or something. Sometimes I'll get
Yeah,
stuff from like NHL teams and stuff, and like she gets all excited, so I'll let her open it. But like, yeah, other than that, I don't really order that much. I guess I went through a big
yeah.
hockey card like obsession. So like when
Like
the
everybody else did the
yeah, dude, the
past 2 years
pandemic, dude,
because there
I
was
got
nothing to do.
sucked into that, and because I'm like a completionist, I literally got every single Series 1 and Series 2 of last year's Upper Deck Young Guns. So I
Yeah.
mean, I would love it if Lafreniere stopped being a bust, so that my $300 Young Gun Lafreniere card actually went up in value.
Now, do you think it's worth it to every? I was thinking about this every year. If you just went through and completed like the Upper Deck Series 1 and 2, eventually one of those guys
You
are
would
going to
make
be like a
money on it.
Crosby. You think so?
The problem is that like so like I'll use Connor Bedard as an example, right? His Young Gun card next year is probably going to be like $700 before he plays a game.
Yeah.
So like Lafreniere didn't play a game yet, and I got a deal for 300. Now he's
And
like
that card, I remember when that
it's
card came out,
ugly.
it didn't look good.
It's
Yeah,
because
because it was like
they
a
had to like
Photoshop, right?
yeah, I think they had to Photoshop. It's not a very cool like now I packed Kaprizov and Stutzla in Series 2, which was sweet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like you would definitely like Way Up Gaming, like Louis, who I love.
Yeah.
He's pretty big into card collecting too. And he traded a PS5. He bought two PS5s at launch. He traded a PS5 about 2 months after launch for a Young Gun McDavid. That was a
That seems like a
9.5.
good deal.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
that's an amazing deal.
yeah, so it was already graded, and it's like worth like $3,000 or $4,000 now. So like, yeah, like, but like the time is like no one could get PS5, so he could have resold that for like 1,200, which is what it was going like McDavid's card was going for, and he just
Yeah.
traded it. And now McDavid's card's like through the roof more now. Same like Matthews and stuff like that. The last 2 years though, like, there's like a bunch of very good rookies, but like in last year's, for example, like there's a chance that like none of them like. So like
Mhm.
Stutzla, Bone Byram are the big ones. Cousins, like they
Yeah,
aren't
and
like
they'll be like good players, but they're not going to be fetching like top dollar in five
yeah, like
years.
very rarely do you get those ones like McDavid. Like those ones will be in stupid amounts, right? Some Crosby and whatnot, but yeah. So I went through that phase, and I literally have a binder of all of Series 1 and Series 2. But I don't know if I'll do it this year because this year there's all the backlog of like Americans and like so like Trevor Zegras, for example, all those guys got added in. So like
Mhm.
this year's release is going to be extremely expensive to collect because he's already performing in NHL. It's like stocks. Like
Yeah,
like Lafreniere looks like a bust right now. I'm sure he's not, and Rangers fans are the loudest on social media, so I
they
apologize.
really are. Yeah,
Dude, it's
Charles
wild.
Harris.
And
Mhm.
yeah, and he looks awful in terms of like what his output is. So his value, like I could buy his card for like less than half the or more than half the price that I paid for him. So
Mhm.
there's obviously an investment there, but we'll have to see.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about some hut because
We
we have
got we
to.
got a new event. Yeah, people were like, "Hey,
Oh,
listen, these
actually,
random. Wait, what's
pause.
that? Look at you cutting me off again. Cutting
Hey,
me
I
off
went
again."
the whole intro, and I did not do it once because someone in the comments said you cut so off a lot, and I actually know that's a problem of mine. But I needed to stop before we got into it because
Sometimes I do have to say though, sometimes I don't mind it because you live and breathe this stuff 24/7. And sometimes I have nothing to add whenever it comes to the Daily Hut stuff. Like there's times where I forget like the 6 MSPs that come out. I have the screen pulled up and I'm like, okay, I got to do my ranking, you know? So sometimes it's a relief. But yeah.
it is something that I am I like even when I broadcast like NHL events, like I have to actively think about it because it's something whenever I have a thought, I have like massive ADD and I have to talk about it or I'll forget. The reason why I want to stop you here is the MLB Tech Test came out.
Okay.
Uh,
All right. MLB talk. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
so
go take
MLB
a nap.
obviously is like the meme because it is like the ultimate team mode, and it is. So for anyone that is an NHL fan, if you haven't played MLB's Diamond Dynasty, even if you don't like baseball, because baseball is tough to watch. I love baseball, and it is even if it's a Red Sox game,
It's boring.
it is tough
I'm
to watch
sorry.
nine full innings. It is tough to watch nine full innings. Now, if you're watching clips of dudes hitting tanks to deep left, that's kind of exciting, and I love that. That's awesome to watch. Now, but regardless, it can be tough. But MLB's video game is simply incredible in the stuff that you can do in it. And the tech test came out, and it's wild to me. So I load into it. I'm like, dude, this looks and is almost exactly like 21. And I don't care at all because
Yeah.
21 is such a good game. 21, if the server issues and the freeze offs weren't a thing, might, and even with it, might be the best sports video game ever made. And I don't mean franchise mode and Road to the Show are awful, so I guess in that sense it can't be the best overall game.
Yeah.
But in terms of like what you Diamond Dynasty, it is easily the best Ultimate Team game ever made in Ultimate Team game modes. I guess that would be a safer thing to say. Because yeah, its franchise mode it's comical how much they ignore outside of Diamond Dynasty. It's the
I
exact
just like that
opposite of
they're kind of
NHL.
honest about it. They don't
Oh
make
yeah,
any promises, right?
no,
Like they're
yeah,
not like the Madden team that's tweeting out like this is our plan and then they're gonna just ignore it
and then they
completely.
just like backtrack and go and work on NCAA. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, so the tech test came out. Some cool new things added in. They added 2v2 and 3v3, where you can load in with your buddies, and it's like if you're playing 3v3, one person controls the outfielders, one person controls the infielders, and then one person controls the pitcher and catcher. And it looks really cool and neat. However, I know that it'll be a total gimmick mode and just die completely if it doesn't have. It's in Diamond Dynasty too. If it doesn't have like a program specifically tied to it,
Oh, like rewards, you
yeah,
mean?
it looks like Hut Rush, like a
Okay.
gimmicky, like only with stuff to do. Like it
Yeah.
look, but dude, the content some of these creators are doing, because you get three guys in there, you're just joking around. Like it looked like a breath of fresh air. So it is cool that they found a way to implement putting three people into a game. However, I see no way that it doesn't cause freeze offs and stuff because that's still in MLB, unfortunately. They added another thing that was kind of cool from like a standpoint of like improving at the game. So you've played a little bit of MLB, right?
Dude, I bought MLB The Show like 16
Okay,
maybe.
okay. So you haven't. Okay, so
Dude, and I played the is it Road to the Show? Is that
yeah,
like the Be a Pro mode?
that's
I
my
only
favorite.
played
That's
that.
all I reason
And
why
I
I bought
spent,
it.
dude, I spent real money because I wanted to jack my guy up with like, yeah, because I didn't care. I was just playing for fun. I had a guy that was like 99 I forget what it was. It was
Fair
something
enough. Fair enough.
stupid.
But
Yeah.
so while your PCI, the thing that you control to hit the ball right in the strike zone, what they added in this year was you can lock your PCI to start at a certain spot. So let's say you can't catch up to the high fastball, right? Like high inside is like one of the things that people will struggle with. Same with like pitches low in the zone, like a changeup. You can actually set your PCI so that without moving it, it starts up and in or up and on the outside, which is awesome for improving your game. Because if you struggle getting your PCI up there, you can leave it essentially. So I thought that was
Okay.
kind of cool. Other than that, really nothing new. However, how they handled the beta or the tech test, let me tell you, did they first they gave us Ultimate Team. They gave us Diamond Dynasty in the tech test, which they haven't done NHL since like NHL 16. Then they gave us the ability to open unlimited packs in the store.
Ooh.
Oh, dude, like, and then you could play all the modes, and it was just like,
Well, you're forgetting the biggest part, and you could stream it, right?
and you can stream it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, oh. And I'm not gonna harp on NHL because this is an EA thing. Clearly, EA does not want bad publicity on like an epic level. So you have to, whenever you're creating content for MLB with the tech test, you have to state this is a technical test and it's an old build. It literally says it on all parts of the screen, which they could easily do, and they admit it. This is an old build. This is not what we're currently at. This is an old build, and everyone just understands. They're like, okay, this is the problems that we're having, and they become memes. And for the majority of them, they might be solved already, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was really well done. Like it just everything Diamond Dynasty does is just such a breath of fresh air compared to NHL. And
Yeah, and it's to be expected. I mean,
it
we've
is.
beaten this dead horse
Yeah, it is.
probably too much, and it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the only mode that MLB cares about, and
Did you?
that's
Let's
just the
talk about your
backdrop.
tweet real quick.
Oh yeah, what was the quote? What was the quote?
It's a hockey ultimate team is only in existence to fund World of Chel development.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's true. I really
It
do.
is,
It
man.
was funny. Because we were talking today, in the morning, I think, and I just said that, and I was like, oh, I'm a genius. I'm a wordsmith because I think that's true. But like, I don't think if Ultimate Team wasn't in the game, I don't think we would have a yearly NHL release. I might be wrong, but I don't know if we would. Um, and even then, you would think that because they make so much money on Ultimate Team, most of those resources would go back in the Ultimate Team. It doesn't. Those resources, I think, go back in the World of Chell.
They have to, like almost all of them.
I think they do, and people are gonna tell me I'm wrong. Whatever. But
Load into NHL
that's
19,
how.
20, and 21 and tell me that they have crazy ingenuity that they've put into Hockey Ultimate Team, guys.
Yeah. But luckily they have some great people. I think
A
that work
lot
on
of really
Ultimate
good
Team.
developers. This year
I
has
don't
definitely
interact.
been
Yeah, I don't interact too much with the other developers because it's mostly just like Ben if it's the gameplay,
no one
and then
does.
Brandon and yeah. So like, I know the Huck guys are great. I just EA Sports just doesn't want to invest in Hockey Ultimate Team.
Yeah, and it's it's fine. The whole guaranteed
You
rewards
know what it
thing.
is like? So like when an actor, okay, let's take Tom Cruise as an example, right?
Sure.
He wants to make a passion project. He
Hmm.
wants to make a drama. His kid has cancer or something. He goes to Paramount.
Hmm.
He wants 200 million for it. They're not going to give it. They're like, listen, we'll give you this money. You got to go make Mission Impossible 10. All right. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much what it's like. They're putting Ultimate Team in the game just so they could work on World of Chell.
Honestly believe that. Like, or it's funding like it's part of me thinks it's funding like UFC. Like,
I never thought about that, but
but
that's a
me,
good
I
conspiracy.
think that no, guys, I think that you like something that is really behind the scenes that you would not. And maybe I don't think this is like NDA stuff, but like
It's not.
you would be stunned at the interchanging of the developer agencies. So like I'll use NHL and UFC for example. Like they have people that work on both, and they have people that work on other projects as well. Like if they need a graphic done, it's not like there's a EA NHL graphic designer. There's like an there's guys I'm sure that they go to first. But like if you see like an error sometimes on Marc Andre Fleury as a Pittsburgh Penguin, for example. Like a graphical error. It's probably because they had outsourced to like a European graphic designer that usually does FIFA. That isn't like a knowledgeable. Like if you had to ask me to draw or type up something about a soccer player, I'd have no idea. You know what I
Like
mean?
you
Like I
would
just
Google an
wouldn't.
image, but maybe it wouldn't be an accurate one, and then you
Exactly.
have some hardcore
Exactly.
fan
They
that's
probably
like, "This guy's an
Googled
idiot."
Marc Andre Fleury. And like that's why, right? And from a business, I understand that, right? Now as a consumer, you don't, because it's like, dude, why is NHL not afford like a graphic designer? They do, but there's a lot of those graphic designers are working on the next game. You have 8
Yeah,
months.
well, I don't know if you remember, it was early 2010s. Whenever they were trying to bring NBA back,
Mm-hmm.
David Littman used to be the creative director, some kind of like producer on
Yep.
NHL. He was the last guy. Amazing. I think the games that he oversaw were great. Um, and then he shifted to NBA. And then I think they also took some employees around that time from NHL to NBA. They were trying to incorporate some of that right stick thing that they patented back on NHL '07 into NBA. NBA ended up, I mean, I don't even think they make the game anymore, right?
No, it ended
But
in
they
18.
and they yeah, they share those like employees, like those assets, between games. And it's not like, oh, well, three people from NHL are going to UFC. Let's backfill those positions because there's probably a lot of training. So that doesn't happen. I'm guessing, I don't know, because there's probably training that has to happen, etc., to learn that stuff. So they share too many
It's a
employees.
big conglomerate. Like if you
Yeah.
think about it, right? EA owns every sport outside of baseball and MLB now because two other developers literally knocked them out of their like minimalist. Like if another company came and decided to want to make a UFC game, you'd be in real trouble of UFC's game. And I don't know if they have specific rights and things that they own. Like Madden, like with FIFA, they lost the name FIFA, right? They lost that name, but they still have all the rights to the players and teams. So people made this big stink about them losing FIFA. Is another company going to pay? No, EA did the right thing. They wanted like $2 billion to be able to name it FIFA.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a joke, right?
So what's the new game called?
I don't know. It'd probably be called soccer, like
Football.
football, something like that. It'll be something very basic, right?
Hmm.
But yeah, so there's like a conglomerate. So when they have a minimalist, input like UFC, they probably don't make a lot of money. Probably even the amount of developers required to make UFC. I would be stunned how much money they make on that because the
Yeah.
developer's probably going to make 100 grand. You'd have to assume that like a software engineer that makes a video game's got to make like quite a bit. It's a very difficult skill, like a rare skill to have, right? So I'd be stunned at how much money UFC makes as a game, and they release like one every 2 or 3 years, right? So like NBA, like you mentioned, they move people over to try and save it, and then a new company comes in, and they're just like, nope, all of our stuff is going. It's like WWE and like WCW. WWE just went and bought everybody, and at some
Yeah.
point, WCW was like, no, okay, I can't afford it, like, or they,
Yep.
they just piss poor management of assets, and it's just like that's it. So you know what? So I think the NHL has a lot of resources though. Like I think that if another game company like 2K, let's say, you got to remember 2K's game NHL game is awful. People that want to say that it's better than
So I disagree with you. I actually played
in
NHL
comparison.
08 in comparison going back then, right? So like and that's whenever they were making NHL. 2K was always the game you wanted to play for offline like
Oh
sliders,
yeah,
more in-depth franchise mode.
yeah.
Um, NHL with the
Skill stick.
skill stick, that's what changed like hockey games forever.
Yeah.
Because I remember I played 2K7 online, and then NHL 08 came out. I remember trying that game. I don't know if it came out first or something. Once I used that right stick, I was like, I can never go
Its
back.
gameplay was not nearly as like, it's
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean, there's a reason why 2K just stopped, because it couldn't sell, right? And like I don't know what would happen. I think NHL is big enough where they would be like, all right, like, so what's happening in Madden? They're moving all of like all of the franchise people that are working on Madden when they made all these promises over to NCAA, because they are up against it. Because if that game is not a 10 out of 10, like, dude, I don't know. Like,
It's not going to be.
has there been a more anticipated sports video game than NCAA next year?
I don't think
I don't
so.
think there's
Well, it's
ever
so
been.
big. Have you seen like a lot of the bigger streamers from like Madden and stuff? They're
Yeah,
doing like the NCAA 14
the
revamp. Is that
revamp,
it?
yeah, the
Yeah.
modded revamp version, and it's like
And I can tell
incredible.
you the NCAA, whatever the next game is going to be called, it's not going to be good as that revamped. It's just not.
It's tough, man. But yeah, like that's what's happening in Madden, and I think that NHL's like hut money is not going directly into NHL. I think it's funding other stuff probably. Because
Now, so Madden, they still have the exclusive license though with the NFL,
Madden,
right?
they
That's
can't do anything
pretty
about. No,
much.
yeah, like it's a
Well, that's
GG.
and I feel like the NFL is a big enough sport where like hockey 2K probably just it's like not worth it, right? They're not going to get into
Even
that
if they
field.
won, even if they won,
Even if they won, it's not worth it. Football, if that was open, if that was like an actually open competition, 100% they'd be in there making a better football
yeah,
game than Madden.
I agree. And I think that, like for EA now, like we used to talk about NBA, like they would have to take an extreme amount of resources for EA to develop a game anywhere close to what they have in 2K. Like the My City stuff, like there's an
Yeah.
RPG video game. Like it's completely overwhelming for anyone that doesn't understand basketball like myself. I played it for like a couple hours, lost. I don't understand basketball very much. It's very bad for the new player, but
Mhm.
there's no way that EA could ever do anything like that.
And they were the first. That was the first game to actually successfully have like an esports league for sports
Yeah,
games.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like I don't count like I know Madden has had like the Madden Challenge and stuff, but the NBA thing was so in depth. It was a literal league.
It's a yeah. You're drafting 6 players, like or however many
Yeah,
players. Yeah,
like
like
and
it's
organizations were represented. That was insane.
yeah. And like it's very well done. So, I think that unfortunately, the game that we have, it obviously takes a backseat in a lot of cases, and I dude, I feel like I'm becoming bacon country in like the
Yeah, and you don't want
negativity.
to. So I did see some of the. I don't. I try not to pay. I'm learning, right? I'm new to this stuff. So like I was reading some of your comments because you post the video every week, right? And I wanted to get out some questions, and some people are like, "Oh, too negative" or whatever. So I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna try to be positive." I'm gonna try to be positive. But I think this episode so far we've just been talking. We haven't. It's not like
Yeah,
we're being negative,
yeah. We're explaining.
I don't want to be Bacon Country. I have no problem with Bacon Country, but
Same.
it was literally old man yells at cloud like
Hmm.
repeatedly, and I think that kind of died down a little bit for me.
I think that like what Bacon Country was, he got to a point where he's big enough, and you realize it's a game changer. It's the me. Like, so when you become a game changer, guys, you want to change the game. You want to have an input on everything. I've talked about this before. And then you slowly realize that, hey, I don't give EASHL input because I don't play EASHL. Now when Hockey Ultimate Team comes up in conversation about development, you bet your biscuits, buddy, like I'm in that, all over it. And then you come up with ideas that you are so strong and firm behind, and you don't see any traction on it for years. Like that wanes on you. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's just like it
Yeah,
weighs on you hard. So like I'm at that point now. I'm slowly like so pessimistic about the game mode. Like I mean, that's tough. You know what I mean? Because but it's my job. I'm like, well, I love it. I love Hockey Ultimate Team, and I want to see it improve more. I released that video about all the things that I would love to see added to it, and the feedback on it was pretty wild. And that's opinion based, but people seem to agree. It's very small things like that I think they could change, and they just won't. So let's
yeah.
talk about
We have a new event,
we have
right?
a
We
new
have a new
event. Yeah,
event.
we're 30
All right.
minutes, 34 minutes. This is a record. People are
Well,
still
you know
around to
what?
this.
We still talked about the game.
True,
I
true, true, true.
like we still talked about the game kind
Yeah.
of. Yeah, so we have a new event,
Yep.
NHL Moments. First off, I said it before, I don't care about card art. It could literally
Oh,
be
this
a
one.
turd on the picture, and I wouldn't care. Whoever designed this did a great job. Wouldn't you
It
say?
was. This might be. I've said this. I think I've said this a bunch of times, but this is probably one of the best card arts that we've gotten.
It's the best one by far I've
Like
ever
the
seen. This.
artistic. I've said this at the beginning of the year when we saw the alpha and the beta, and like before you guys did, we obviously get an early copy of the game. We got to see what the card art looked like, and I remember going like, this is better than any Ultimate Team mode card art because it's real like art on some of it, and then it's like graphic design with it. Like in MLB, it's just to tops cards, which is awesome. Like that's cool. It's like so like Jazz Chisholm this year. There's a really cool new like Young Guns or like top end card for it, and it's actually in the game. Like that's sick. But the graphic design portion of this is really really nice, man. And this one specifically, the moments like in the background, the little like images like of like the
Like all the
moment,
monitors and stuff
yeah,
too.
like
Like
and then it has the
yeah.
dates down in the corner, but it's done in that VHS. Like well done. Like the touches on it are incredible.
I hope that guy got a bonus. Whoever did that, probably contracted work, but it probably. I hope that guy was paid well. So we have 4 new MSPs, right? And we always do a ranking.
Yes.
So I will start with my number 4 because we only got 4 MSPs,
Mm-hmm.
and we probably have the same one. Holtby at number 4. I think that's a given, right?
Yep, not close.
Yeah. Number 3, I am going to go with Morgan Riley.
Okay.
Did you have him?
I had Zabinajad.
My number 2, I have is Hurdle.
I have Hurdle as number 2.
Number 1, I have Zabinajad.
Yeah. No, I understand.
You have Morgan Riley at number 1?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, first of all, none of these cards, if you are in the mindset of what card should I have that would be on your team for the rest of the year, none of these are really great in that aspect. They could all stay on your team. I think that Morgan Riley has the longest opportunity to stay on your team. But his abilities are awful. Like for the meta, I guess. But hurdles aren't great, and Zabinajads are not good either. So,
well, Zabinajad's interesting because he has the gold snipe,
dude.
And
you literally did a hut chance run and said that's an awful one.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it's good. At some point, I have to think that these abilities are going to have their uses. I'm thinking,
yeah, it's NHL 23 is going to be awesome.
Yeah, but like, so it has to be good. Like, I'm still in denial, maybe, right? Because you see me try. I always try new abilities out to see, like, is this thing any good? There has to be a spot on the ice where you shoot with this thing and it goes in. I haven't seen it yet. I've used Silver Snipe with Ovechkin. I thought it was working. I was wrong. It has to be good. It's 10 points for a gold shooting ability.
I'll bust the brayer here. So like, if you look at it, right, the stats, it's like the ones that impact stats that are the meta are the ones that are stupid expensive. So like, it doesn't necessarily. It's not because like skating and shooting, all of them are the most expensive. It does not matter the impact that they have on the game. All of them are among the most expensive.
Yeah.
And then defensive ones, which they didn't realize at the time, are extremely cheap because they're defensive. There's no expensive defensive one. So because shooting and skating, that is why you have these insanely expensive shooting and skating ones. Because those are the two ones that they tried to not allow it to break the game. Yeah. And the only one that's viable to have that is wheels. And even then, I don't
think that one's that great.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. You know what I do now? I mean, you came into my stream today when I'm down.
And that was, listen, you have to tell, that was the funniest thing I've ever seen. Like, I was sitting there, it was the end of my workday. My wife got home. She was on the phone, so I was like, I have 5 minutes to kill before we go for a walk. Like, so I pull up your stream, and I see some guy come down on, it was like a 3-on-3, okay? And you had a forward back checking, and he decides just to freeze completely.
Blue line. In overtime.
Just in overtime. I don't know what happened to the other two defensemen. Then the guy somehow got a 2-on-0 cross crease. It goes in. And then in the background, what song was playing?
I don't know, dude. It was an NHL.
It was the song. Oh, no, it wasn't an NHL song. It was like a song was playing. And you just like stone cold face. No words were said for about 3 minutes. I watched you go through all the replays. You had some cross crease attempts against gold post to post where the guy just makes a split save. And I was like, that's NHL 22 in a nutshell. And then I trolled you a little bit. I was hoping you would see the comment, but I don't know if you did or not. You didn't see it?
I saw you trying to bait me, and I was like, no, this is just.
Yeah, I was trying to bait you because somebody's like, hey, Queso, what's going on? And I was like, just watching Sleeves lose to some shitters. And I just wanted a reaction out of you, and you didn't give it to me.
Dude, Goalpost to post and goalie superpowers are just a joke. I'll ask you. I asked you this before or this morning. Goals as a whole are down this year, and there is
Yeah.
no way to tell me that there is not because you can see it if you go and look right now, guys that are listening, and you want to argue this point. Go and look at your goalie save percentage. Load up NHL 21 and go look at your goalie save percentage. It is so far down, and almost all of my games in Division One are 1-0, 2-1, 3-2 at most. And you're in another class because you're among the best in the world, which is fine. But that is such a small portion of the player base. You
The
have
goals are still down in that game.
no, absolutely,
Okay.
and even for
So,
you,
yeah, even for me, like, so my goals against hasn't gone down that much. I average a little over 1 goal against a game on Hut Champs weekends, but I'm only scoring like 3.5 a game. So
dude.
that means it's 4.5 goals a game
Right,
for a video game where it used to be like 8 to 9, which if you don't want it 8 to 9, but I would expect in the 6 goal range.
I
And it's weird to me though, by
yeah,
the way, that a complaint in real life NHL is that, the game was boring, especially during the dead puck era. We want to see this happen, right? So why
yeah.
is the game tuned for a more defensive battle?
They did so many things. That I think in a vacuum were great. So, for example, they turned back on the puck intercept model. I mean, that's a great addition to the game. Like, because last year was a joke, like a literal joke. Because you could literally just fire a puck through 6 guys and it would go in, right? Um, which I think was good. But then they also added X factors for goaltenders and literally gave them superpowers.
Yeah.
So now you have, you know, interceptions are on, but then they also made passing completely nullified by the auto targeting system, but which is crap because you can't, it locks on to players you don't want quite often.
Mm-hmm.
And you add all three of those things together, including the stick in physics, where if you just bump into someone, it's a clunky mess in the neutral zone. Like there's
Yeah.
no time and space, which I think that's what frustrates me the most is like there's no time and space to do anything, and the vehicle to give yourself time and space is you have to be among the most incredible in the game. And
I would
even
agree
you,
there.
you
Yeah.
are not someone that is you do not what you could, but you don't rely on the deeks and L2s a lot. You are very strat based, so you use the strategies to your advantage. I said this earlier, much like a European player, because that's what the Europeans do. They don't use crazy back and L2s and all that. They play with what the strategies have available to them, which I think is why you're succeeding so much, because that is essentially one of the only ways to really succeed in 22 is you take advantage of the very limited strategies that are in the game. But myself, I like having one or two. I loved the half spins and the ability to create offense. It's a video game, and a lot of people in the chat are I think NHL is a very older demographic when it comes to the video game. A lot of people like the sim based way, which I understand, and I can understand why people like that. I just personally don't, and I've realized it. Right, so
Yeah.
I don't say that the game is crap and the gameplay's trash. I just personally don't like it at all. But I understand the people that do. And in
Yeah, and
that
I think that's fair.
yeah, like I'm not saying that the game is bad. It's different. Like there's the people that are like, oh, it's the same as like last year. It's not. We've been saying that all year. It's not even close. And yeah, like I just don't think it's as fun. It leads to how many times, guys, that have you dominated someone like 10 minutes COA to 4? You have twice the shots, and that's a very bad way to look at a game because you could just be flicking up. But it's a very good representation of you being able to control the game. Yet you can't get a shot that you want open or a play that you want open because they don't have to do anything to intercept a pass anymore. And you can't get anywhere close to an AI because of the stick in physics and the stick being a separate layer. It'll just, the way that it reacts, it'll bump the puck loose or your stick loose. And it leads to not very fun. So what ends up happening is it's 2-1 the entire game. And I just find that boring. I want to see more goals. I don't know, which
I do
sounds
too.
crazy.
Yeah, no, I mean, I want to see more goals. It's just like there's so many things that can go wrong in achieving a goal, right? Like offensively, you just have to do so many things right. Defensively, all you have to do is just stand there, right? It's just that there's so much responsibility. 95% of the skills on the offense, 5% on the defense. And after that, even if you have an amazing chance, maybe you have like a tic-tac-toe play or something, there's still a 30 to 40% chance that goalie's going to make a miraculous save. And then you get
Demoralizing.
all the saves that I've been seeing on Twitter. that
Dude,
people
that
post.
one. Okay, if you haven't followed me on Twitter, someone, I think it was like Chel Scrappy or something, tweeted it out.
Yeah, that was it.
Uh,
Yeah.
that was one in a million, but like my god, bro, this Robin Lehner Master Set card makes these 3 saves in a row that were just absurd and just comical because it's exactly what happens in the game a lot. It's a
Yep.
microcosm of this game.
Yeah, exactly.
I've said this before. It's like they've done a great job of making it a very sim based game. Hockey is got to be the most difficult sport to take the real life product and turn it into a video game. There's so many moving parts that you have a stick. You know what I mean? Like your hands are controlling an object. It's not just like you're kicking a ball or anything like that, right? It's constantly moving, and they've added superpowers on top of a very sim based thing. So part of me just wants no goaltender to have one, but they can't because like they've made smaller goaltenders viable, you know, and I like
And
that to an extent, to a certain.
it's just frustrating because they're viable only because of a crazy post to post, ability.
Yeah, I
What
agree.
we should, what I might try to do, I don't think the abilities have much
Bro,
of an
so what I
impact on a
did,
lot of things. What's that?
I'm gonna
Cut
interrupt
me
you
off.
here
Cut
because
me off here.
this is what I wanted to say before. What I did with like the superpowers, right? I'll tell you
Yeah.
exactly how I use my ability points, guys, because I'm done trying to find the balance of like elite edges and 1T and all that garbage because they don't do anything. Is I use goal shutdown on all 4 of my gigantic, colossal, ogre-like defensemen because that's extremely overpowering. I have silver or gold quick draw on all of my centers. And then I take my master set Rene and I load up light work, post to post, tip jar, contortionist, sponge, all of it.
Good.
Because
Good.
why not, dude? All of those are the ones that impact the game the most. And I think that's a major issue with, and I don't blame them because there's no way to add in 50 abilities and for them to all be tuned correctly without having the player base play through a cycle of the year, right? So I don't blame them for that. That's impossible to test, even with us as testers. Like, there's no way to test that, right? So I think that we'll see some adjustments in terms of like what abilities cost, but like ankle breaker does nothing. Even if you made it 2, you would not use the ability to make stride deeks at top speed more. Like you just won't. Like it just has no use as an
Is that
overall thing.
wait? Is it the stride deeks that it impacts?
I think, or puck handling or deeks at high
If
speed.
it's the stride, it's only that one specific type of deek then.
Yeah, and it costs 8.
What?
You would never like. How many people actually use stride deeks? Shout out to my man Nuge was the one that in the EA Discord was like, guys, I don't know why this is 8, and I don't even know if I would use it at 2. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, so a lot of these. So that's what I do now. And you know what? I went and looked. I'm 60-30 playing Hut Champs in Division 1 rivals, which for me, I'm not an elite player anymore, but that's significantly below my own standards, but hey, it is what it is. So I'm 60-30. I asked you this morning, what would you expect someone who's 60-30 to have as a save percentage? You said 78. My save percentage with my Pekka Rinne is 86.
Yeah.
Which means that nothing's
that's
going
really
in.
high.
I'm losing 1 or 2 nothing. You know what I mean? Like
And
I'm
that's really high in a video game. Like there
It's
were
nuts,
times like
man.
during,
Last-
like last year, if you had like an 80 save percentage, it was a good goalie.
wild.
Years past in HUD, it'd be like mid 70s was good.
And it's just because scoring's so down, and that is what it is, right? So
We're in the dead puck era of HUD.
we're in the dead puck era of Hut. Yeah, we need. That's it.
Were there?
We're in it.
Were there any like non MSP cards you thought were good or
McKinnon, man.
nothing?
Like,
McKinnon's the only usable one, I think.
yeah, and like if you don't have the X Factor McKinnon, go and get this one. I can't wait to see what we're going to talk about for X Factors next year. Like, are we just going to completely disregard them entirely at launch? like
Wait, what do you mean?
X Factors are pointless.
Yeah, man.
So let's talk about this. We only got about 12 minutes left. Let's talk about this. Pretend this is 23, all right? What do we have to do as game changers to make X Factors more impactful longer? Or even worth looking at? Because I'll be honest right now, I have like the best team that you can make in the game. I have 2. I have McKinnon and I have Barzal. And there's an argument you could do McDavid because if you didn't get his team of the year. And the other one would be Hamilton because he's 6'6". I think. And there is some other ones like Stammer and Eichel because they're big and fast right now.
Yeah.
It's all going to depend. I'll say this. It's all going to depend if they go to 99. Because if they don't go to 99 and they can keep their speed at the same progression, they're not, like, it's not going to be good. But anyways, what do you think that we have to do and recommend to make X Factors more impactful?
So I think the cost to upgrade them has to decrease, right? I think they have to be more rare. You can't get 3 of them a month, right? Because if they were cheaper to upgrade, everybody would have a team full of X Factors, a team full of 99 players at the end of the year, right? So I think they have to be more rare and cheaper to upgrade. Next thing, you have to actually be able to use like an overall or like the card to upgrade the X Factor. So like if Crosby's an 89 and he has a 90 team of the week, you should either be able to use that card or maybe just any 90 overall player. I don't know, right? But maybe not any 90 overall player, but maybe like a Sidney Crosby 90 overall card. Because it sucks that like you could pull that 90 overall untradeable Crosby. You can't do anything with it. You're just screwed.
The tech is in the game, which is alarming
It's
to
in
me.
the
I
game.
remember when we saw it in the background, we were like, "Oh, so you're going to be able to use when they were explaining X
Well,
Factor
we
to us,
said that in the summer.
We thought
before
that's what it was going to
the
be,
first
and they were
time.
like, "No," and we're like, "Okay,
Yeah.
you literally have the use a base card, so why can't you use the 89 team of the week?" Unless that requires a patch, as opposed to just because
I
that
don't know if that would be a patch, but it'd be like whenever that card comes out, right?
you have to
They
back
would
out and
have
move
to
back
go
in.
into for every single card that has like all 50 X factors. Eventually, you'll have that. Like they'd have to do that every single time. That's probably extra work for them that
Figure it
they
out.
didn't,
Hire more people.
plan for.
That's such a small thing, bro. Like, how about this? Stop releasing 12 prime times a day.
Well, that's a given.
Like, it's
That's a
awful.
given,
It is a
dude.
archaic old format that they have not advanced or had any sort of ingenuity on in the last decade of Hockey Ultimate Team. So if there was 5 or maybe even 4 prime times or team of the weeks, that's much easier because then they could just go.
How much time do you think Brandon spends, by the way? Brandon EA Hawk. So he has to make the daily content. How
Okay.
much time do you think he spends going through with like those 84 overall Issa Lindell that has to come with a team of the week, or like 86 overall Brian Rust? It's such a waste of resources on EA Sports' fault, or EA Sports' their fault.
I remember
like, right? It's a
asking like
waste.
Nick this question last year when he was the Brendan, when he was the EA Hawk. And yeah, because I was like, what does your day look like? Because low key, guys, I almost applied to be EA Hawk this year. I almost applied to be the content developer. So like, well, that I thought about it. Like I asked, what does that entail? Like, what does your day look like? And like, yeah, like the first 4 hours of your day, or a couple hours of your day, I won't say 4 hours because it might not be that long, but like, you got to go through like go and look at all of the box scores to see who had an impactful game. Go for all the leagues. It takes like a couple hours. Then you find the ones that you want. Then you have to go into like it's not an Excel sheet, but like the software,
program
the
they
developer
use.
software, add in that card, and then give it the abilities and synergies. Like it is not a short process, especially if you're doing 12 a day. Like it's absurd. Like there's no creativity to it either because you're literally going and picking, there's no freedom to it. It used to be rigid though. Like you could only get a prime time if they scored 3 goals. I think it was, or 2. Yeah, it was 3 goals or 4 points.
3 points.
I think it was 3 points and 2 goals.
Okay.
Maybe something like that. And it was like defensemen if they got 2 points. There was so like everyone knew, and EA really, I remember Nicholas, one of his things when he became a developer was like, I want to get away from the cookie cutter, we know this is coming formula, which I appreciate because that got really boring. Like that makes it boring.
Yeah.
So because like Reddit was like, oh, here comes the primetime 86, Brian Dumoulin because he had 2 points last night. We know he's coming. It's like, well, what if he doesn't? Maybe he doesn't. So I respect that. But yeah, it takes a long time, man. Like, but yeah, like, I agree. I think that I packed the Patrick Laine or the 92 Laine, and like that's cool and exciting, but like I can't do anything with it. Now, let's say he had an X Factor, that'd be that, and he went right in. Then I would think about, okay, maybe I go and buy his X Factor because I saved that huge expensive tier.
You think primetime should be upgradable then?
No, I don't think prime times are. I think his X Factor. Let's say
No. I'm saying hypothetically next year if prime time's like if you got an 86 line A, right, and then a week later he has a hat trick, and you could pay 50K from his 86 to go up to 87.
Oh, no. What I'm saying is that let's say Line A had a X Factor card, and he's an 88, but then he comes out with like a 91 prime time, and I packed his prime time. I can take his prime time and put him into the untradeable. Like I can put him into
To
the
get
X
him
Factor.
instantly up to the 91.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
No, my thing was just like a separate thing, not even
yeah, I see what you're
related to
saying. No,
that.
no, no. Yeah, so I think that like,
Yeah,
that
no,
would
like
help with
that.
X Factors. What I think is they need to. Okay, here's the problem with X Factors because I'm gonna shout out to Padre because he had this exact thing. Um, they are now trapped by having to give post a perfect example. Anyone that's under 6'5", basically goaltender, has to get post to post, or you don't even look at them, right? Which is a downfall, but again, it makes them useful. Okay, because before in past years, it's like you would just completely ignore it anyways because it's not Ben Bishop. So small defensemen, you got to give them truculence, or they just won't play good defense. And like honestly, that's the way you make smaller defensemen useful in this game is truculence. However, does Cale Makar lay gigantic body checks? So Padre, for example, he got a little upset because he's a competitive player, and there was like a spree of like gigantic defensemen that kept getting gold shutdown. And that's a pairing that combo is extremely overpowered because Victor Hedman, his reach is so big that when you give an automatic poke check to someone's reach who's gigantic, it gives you such an advantage. It's difficult to get around. And they gave up Brent Burns and they gave him gold shutdown when he's like not known for that at all. He does have a very good defensive stick, but it's violent. It's not because he's like accurate with it. He just swings
Yeah.
it every which way. He has like the most effective wrist shot in the league. And his ability to get his wrist shot through from the point is what made him so insane offensively. It's like not his slap shot. That's why his wrist shot is higher rated than his slap shot year over year because his wrist shot is so insane. Heat Seeker is the one that should go on Brent Burns. However, no one would use it. No one would be excited about a Brent Burns card that isn't fast, that doesn't have shutdown. So at the beginning of the year, when you come out and you market these X Factors, like you can't give Austin Matthews wheels because he's not like a burner because you want him to remain, valuable throughout the whole year. But like I think that's like unfortunate. The reason why X Factors and a lot of them suck is because their X Factors can't change. So Forsberg's style icon. It's not a master set. It's like a headshot one, right? It came with gold quick draw or quick draw.
Yeah.
Far better than whatever thing that is on his power up icon. And the power up icon thing, while they can upgrade month over month, the X factors can't change on them. The abilities can't change on them. Their smaller ones can, but their up top ones can't. So like the only way around that would be to add in like how you can select synergies, allow us to select abilities. Because if you
Yeah, Madden has that though with like you apply the abilities to the players, right? I think.
I think at the beginning of the year it's definitely a marketing thing. Like that trailer that showed Austin Matthews with the shock and awe. Like that makes sense as to why that is a thing, right? However, no one uses that and wants except for players that play offline and they want to, an experience that mimics the real thing. Totally understandable. So allow them to have that option. However, if you want to have quick draw as an option as well, then that would make Austin Matthews a lot more viable to use him at center in a competitive aspect and make his card a lot more viable year round.
I wouldn't mind. So if that's what it is, I wouldn't mind if instead of like you can pick one that might not suit his play style, if like all 6 abilities he has can be interchanged, right? So like it wouldn't make sense for Matthews to have wheels. He also doesn't have that as a superstar ability. Maybe you can just shift an ability from superstar to zone.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't mind seeing
I
that.
see, like that would be kind of cool. Yeah. So like
that would fit him more because like the same thing happened with the Lemieux card, right? That 95 overall like flashback Lemieux came out. Way better abilities than his power up. His power up icon.
I don't have anything activated on it, and it's still one of my favorite cards.
Yeah, it's a great card, right? But he has the gold, like the toe drag one, and then he has the silver breakaway all alone.
And like third eye and like just
the worst abilities.
Yep. But he can upgrade, right? So I guess maybe that's the trade up. But yeah, like I think that is something we're gonna have to discuss like in the future about like X Factors. I just wish X Factors weren't a thing. They're just a copy paste from Madden. And what also scares me?
Whenever they first introduced it, I said I don't like this.
You know what also scares me? I was like, why did they take something that directly from Madden? Like, how did they do that? And what I thought about was like, cross console when it comes out is a EA as a whole has not invested in that as a whole. Any sports games, right? It made me a little concerned because I thought that no matter what, when cross console becomes a thing, every game will get it. It's not like Rivals, where like Rivals will end up in NHL in 4 years, like after it comes out in FIFA, right? But what scares me is that we just got the leftovers of Madden and FIFA's foundational coding and Frostbite. They have hypermotion. So if like that's not like a universal drag and drop. So we'll find out next year. But like that terrifies me. I would have to assume that cross console is the thing no matter what. But we'll have to wait and see, man. Like I don't want to think about that. I don't want to think about it. It's no,
depressing to think about.
it's
Yeah.
scary. But guys, it has been good talking to you guys. I'm up at an hour.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a event I have to go record for the Sharks. So I have got
It's the jersey on. Yeah.
Yeah, I do,
So
man,
this
I
is,
have
I
to-
think, one of our shorter episodes then, right?
It's an hour.
It's an hour. So
Yeah.
it's on par with like our first 15 episodes.
Yeah,
and
until
then
we
we
just
decided
got
to do like 90 minutes and then yeah. So I think GWC time, we should ramp it up a little bit in terms of the episodes. And I think that'll be not in terms of episodes, in terms of length.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
There'll be more to talk about. Predictions.
Guests
Drama
will come
in
in
the
the
NHL
summertime.
community.
We have to keep this
Yes.
going in the summertime. Our idea was to not include, like after GWC, it just ends because NHL interest dies. But you guys have been so crazy with like the feedback and and saying that you guys love it. So I don't think there's a way that we can stop it. And I don't want to either. I just have fun doing it.
This is the one thing whenever it comes to content creation in quotations where it's like, I don't really mind doing this. If I record a YouTube video,
Takes
I
a
have
while.
to do it, whatever. This one, it's easy. It comes
agree.
natural, I think. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll make sure we stick with that. But guys, thank you for watching, and we will see you next week. Make sure you leave. We didn't get any questions today. We will get to your questions. So leave your questions down below for next week's episode on the video, and I will see you then. Have a good one.